Hello, it's Charnay White again, and I wanted to post a little information, especially in light of the recent tragic events that just happened in Orlando. First, I want to give condolences to all the family and friends who have lost a loved one or had a loved one that was injured. I pray God's peace in your life and that the peace of Christ that transcends understanding guard your hearts and your minds, because a lot of times in times of tragedy, we don't know where to turn. We don't know what to do. And we don't understand. There's a lot of unanswered questions. And so because of that, we get really frustrated. And so sadness turns into anger, and that turns into more hate. And that's what we don't want. So with that being said, today I wanted to offer some information, very free information that you can find online about mental health. I pulled this information from NAMI. I think it's NAMI.org. I believe so. But that stands for, that's NAMI, and that's the National Alliance on Mental Illness. This organization is phenomenal. They make sure that a lot of people around the country get information that they need about mental health and mental illness. And one of the things that struck me about the website was this saying that they have that I say all the time, which is, without mental health, we cannot be healthy. And I'm a firm believer in that. People laugh sometimes because they'll say, well, when I brought my problem to Charnay, she said, you need to go get you some mental health. And that is because I absolutely, positively believe that. I can say that there's been times in my life where I have had to have mental health assistance. And I keep a counselor on speed dial just in case I need one, because my mental health is just as important as my physical health. And so because without mental health, we cannot be healthy. Just like any part of our body, when it's in pain or it's hurting, it needs medical assistance. And that's the same thing with the brain. When the mind is not well, the body can't be well. The children can't be well. The marriage can't be well. The job performance is not going to be what you want it to be. And so, if there's an issue, a mental condition, then that has to be treated. And a lot of times in the African American community, we don't want to accept mental health, as a health need or a right. And it is. Everybody should have the right to be mentally healthy. African Americans are 20% more likely to experience mental health problems than the general population. 20% is significant. Some of the things that African Americans suffer from is major depression, ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, suicide is high in the African American community. A lot of times we think, that's not us. We don't do those things to ourselves. We know better. Our faith tells us better. Well, guess what? The numbers don't say that. The numbers are real. And they say that we are experiencing this in our communities as well as other communities that we're connected to. And the last one, which I thought was just really interesting, and a lot of times we ignore it because of the resilience in our community, is post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD is very real. It's just not something that veterans experience. It's something that, or military personnel or individuals who have been in a terroristic type of situation. It's people who have had an overexposure to violence, or have been victims of violence in some way, whether it be direct or indirect. And so there's a lot of cultural implications for PTSD, and there's a lot of cultural implications for reasons why we don't get mental health. And African Americans are not the only communities that don't. There are other communities, the Hispanic community, and some of these deal with not just financial disparities, but also literacy and just being aware of when there's an issue, recognizing it and getting the kind of help that you need. So with that being said, I want to name a couple more things and then I'm going to let you go. Faith. A lot of times we use our faith. We say, I'm going to trust God. I don't need to see a counselor. Well, let me tell you, the Bible speaks emphatically over and over again, especially throughout all the Proverbs, about how important it is to get wisdom. And to get wisdom, you have to get understanding. And to get understanding, you need to hear it. It needs to get in your ear. And that's the only way it's going to get in your mind. It's not going to just fall out of heaven. Okay? So just like we go to church, or if you have another faith and you go to your spiritual advisor, you have to get you some mental health in that same way. So don't let your faith hinder you from getting the mental health that you need. Also, it's a distrust factor. We just don't trust them. You know, a lot of times, especially 20, 30, even up to 60 years ago, African Americans were used in a lot of